Hello guys and welcome to my highly requested spell trading video. In this video I'm gonna show you how you trade with spells, profit with them and mainly price check them, but it's not as easy as it is with unusuals, so just expect to have a harder time with them and just get much more experience with them for trading. And I have to say to you, this is just all over my personal trading experience with spells. It's not everything 100% correct, but I saw there was like a high demand of spell trading guide videos, and like no one really uploaded a good one. So I decided I'm trying my best here, and I'm just gonna hope you enjoy this video. So first of all, I'm gonna start with the basics, explain to you what spells are and what the different kind of spells do. So basically the spells are a single usage item you could apply to weapons or cosmetics, and they do different things. So for example, we have here the paint spells who change their color the whole time, and chromatic is like purplish, and spectral is team spirit, and the other ones are like more greenish and just change the color the whole time. And the most high tier ones are, as you probably expected, chromatic corruption and spectral spectrum, because chromatic just looks really good, and spectral spectrum is basically team spirit and people really like that and it's really desired. And I gotta say, paint spells are the easiest thing to deal with. If something single spelled, you can apply 2 spells for each stuff. You could have like spells were active in 2014, and I gotta say to you, spells are just active on Halloween servers or servers that have Halloween enabled. So I'd say there's some basic ground rules for paint spells. For example, if you have a normal craft hat or just a usual hat for any class or something, the ground rules is like you pay 2 to 3 keys for a spectral or a chromatic hat, or if you want to resell for more, that is, and you pay like for the other 3 spells you pay max 1.5, I'd say, if you want to resell for more, obviously. It's just different trading wise than just collecting wise, because of course you want to sell higher than you bought if you're trading and looking for profit. So that's the basic ground rules, but there are many exceptions of that, and I will show you those. So here you can see a pretty common example of hats that are more than just what I said you should buy for. For example, the Crone's Dome. It's like that with many hats. Patrician going for 3.5 and die drop. So spectral crones are around 7 to 8 keys. So if you want to make profit on, for example, a chromatic crones, you should try to buy for 5 or less. Otherwise you're not probably gonna sell it for more. And that's like that with many other items. You should always price check them correctly, and I'm gonna show you in a live example how I do my price checks. Hey guys, so now I'm in the live price check scenario of me. For example, I just wanna show you how I do it. So I just bought a Sinister Bruises recently, mainly because it goes really well with my Reveal of France, but I wanted to buy one for really cheap. So you just check, for example, the bruises. You get it here, the right version always, and then you just click the classifieds and just make it larger like that, and just go to the like second to last page, or like wherever it starts rising in price. So here is 10 keys. That's the cheapest spell bruises on market. I bought mine for 7, so that's a really good price for that. And yeah, so basically if you see an item that's more than the usual price for spectral and stuff like that, you usually go ahead and want to pay half of the price which it's listed at. So for example, if I wanted to buy a die drop, 5 keys is good. But since the bruises is a really desired item, and misc, all class misc, you could go up to 7 keys, but I wouldn't recommend buying for more than 7 keys. But the bruises is really good because people want it for keeps, so it's possible that people buy it for 10. So if you buy for 7, you get a profit margin of 3 keys basically. A really useful tool for spell trader beginners is spell discords. I will leave you the links for the discords in the description. You can just easily join. And if you have questions, how much something's worth, and mostly the spell prices tell you the full price, so you just half the price or maybe a bit more than half from what they tell you. So first of all, you can press Ctrl and F, and then you can search for the item. Let's just say Teams or Team Spirit Footprints. It's just a short version. Look, I asked there. I bought that one, and yeah, then this one comes up. You just ask Spell Pricer, and then people will answer you and just price check it for you. So that's, on the side note, a really good tool to use. So after the paint spells, we got footprint spells, and footprint spells is a way larger margin, but it's also really complicated. There are many factors that play a role in footprint spells trading. For example, if it's just single spelled or not, or if it's paint spelled as well. And I will come to that later, but first of all, like, you can't really say how much footprint spells add in general, like just out of the bat. But if you get a footprint spell, item that's single spelled for 4 keys, you're always good. Like, you can pay 4 keys for any footprint spell. And I will show you a ranking of the best footprint spells right here on screen, so you can see what are the best ones and what are the worst ones. And I tell you how much they add approximately, because you can't always really tell. It's always depending on the item as well, and you should just use the same method of price checking as I described in the paint spell price checking. It's just the same scheme. So when it comes to double spelled items for cosmetics, it's always either voices and a paint spell, or a paint spell and a footprint spell. So voices from below doesn't really add that much to the value. It adds like a key if it's alone, or 2 keys sometimes, depending on the item. Again, it's always really dependent on the item, how rare it is and stuff like that. But for simple ground rules, it's just like 1 or 2 keys for voices from below. I wouldn't recommend buying single spelled voices from below items, but yeah, a double spelled item is always at least 5 keys. Doesn't matter if it's patrician and voices, chromatic and voices, chromatic and bruised purple footprints, whatever. It's always at least 5 keys. And price checking the double spelled items can always be really tricky, but I'd say you ask in the spell discords for help, and just ask if you get offered a double spelled item, how much it's worth. And there's some, if it's footprint and paint, you should always check if it's matching spells. It just makes the item more desired and more expensive. But generally speaking, you could say gangrene and sinister and patrician are kind of matching, and I'd say most heads are around 10 to 12 keys. But then again, it's always really hard to say how much a double spell item is worth, but you really need to get used to it if you collect some experience by looking how well stuff sells and how good offers you get and how many keys you buy stuff for. You will get a general good feeling for it, but in the beginning, just ask in the spell discords. So this time I will show you how I find most of my spells and my spell buys. So first of all, you go to the classified listings on backpack.tf, you open this thing, and you can select spells there. And what I do most of the times, I just press all the spells that are pretty desired. I mostly just leave those out because I like trading with spectral and chromatic a lot more. And then you just click confirm and you search for good deals, and I'm doing that 3 times a day at least. I'm just checking if there's any good deal whatsoever, like anything double spelled for 4 keys, for example. I found a chromatic and voices crofty hair yesterday for 4 keys. I bought it immediately and sold 1 hour later for 6 keys pure, and that's just instant 2 keys. It's just like flipping the spells for profit. And as I said, any double spelled item is at least 5 keys. So 4 keys for a chromatic and voices one is a really good price. I could have probably fetched it up to 8 keys, but I didn't want to wait really long for that. And you can just click yourself through this list and just check if anything's really cool. Most of the cool stuff comes later on, because there will be footprint spelled and paint spelled items, which are generally speaking really desired and like really wanted. Like, I can show you my anger, which is really cool. I bought this one for 12 keys with Spectrum Teams for the footprints, for example, and 12 keys is a big bargain for that, because Team Spirit Footprints is one of the highest tier footprint spells, and Spectral Spectrum is one of the highest tier paint spells, and they both are matching because Spectral, as I already said, is basically just Team Spirit colors, and Team Spirit Footprints is Team Spirit colors, and this just makes it really desired and really expensive. I'd say it's around 20 keys if we're thinking about that, and I bought it for 12, so I think I can probably sell it for 18 keys pure easily. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say to double spelled items. So guys, this is the end of the video. I just wanted to thank you all for watching my trading series. I've got one on my channel. If you are new, you can check it out if you want to. And this was just a real newbie guide for big beginners, and I'm planning on making like a more advanced one where I really show how all the price checks are working. I can't really describe it in such a short amount of time, and it's really complicated. So as I said, just use the spell discords, and yeah, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.